want Fox to rap. 50 want Fox to kill somebody. You know you're dumb out. We're gonna get the money.
Say that you trying to glorify that though.
Glorify what? Killing?
Being locked up.
What?
When you bring up the name Mazaradi Fox, you're not just talking about some rapper who hung around 50 Cent. This was one of the most feared names in hip-hop history. His legend in Queens was already stamped long before G-Unit even came into play. This was the same man who once pulled a gun on Jimmy Henchman in broad daylight, the same man who survived getting shot 21 times and kept breathing like nothing could stop him. People weren't exaggerating when they called him one of the 50's most dangerous goons. Jamal Green, the world knew him as Fox, came straight out of South Jamaica, Queens, the very same streets that molded 50 Cent himself. This wasn't just some music industry link-up. These two were tied since childhood, bonded by the same rough blocks that raised them. From the start, Fox's name was carved into that ruthless street history, and when people said his name, it carried real weight. And let's get one thing clear. Fox wasn't a flashy stage gimmick, it was real life. His reputation wasn't built in the booth, it was built in the streets. The story goes, two men tried to snatch his chain, but only one managed to walk away. The other left with a brutal $150. A slash so deep it stretched from ear to jaw, needing 150 stitches to close it up. That scar stamped Fox's reputation forever. Later on, 50 Cent gave him the Mazaradi tag during a studio session, cracking a joke. Mazaradi Fox, fresh out the body shop. From that moment, the name stuck like glue. But Fox wasn't just rocking a nickname, he was the life that other rappers only pretended to rap about. He carried an energy so heavy that people around him couldn't relax, like danger was always just a breath away. When somebody once asked him if prison was something worth glorifying, Fox fired back without hesitation. Who wouldn't? That line alone showed the type of man he was. Bold, sharp, and unpredictable at every turn. Even Tony Yayo had to admit it. He called Fox a strategist and a king manipulator, the kind of guy who could take regular dudes off the block and flip them into soldiers overnight. Fox played the game like chess, always spotting moves others didn't even see coming, all while repping G-Unit with that same street ferocity. He officially signed with 50 in 2007, but truth is, his presence was already shaking the streets back in 2005.
That's the Queens thing.
When I say that, it's like, nah, that's a dumb out thing.
Oh, dumb out. Okay.
You hear like Yo G's, all that stuff in Queens, that's from Mozzie.
He was building G-Unit dumb out, dropping mixtapes, branding his own movement, and even taking the wave down south when most New York rappers were scared to leave the boroughs. Fox summed up his style in a way only he could. Pretty thug style, but blow you out slug style. That mix of charisma and raw menace made him stand out, one of G-Unit's most feared faces during the bloody feud with Jimmy Henchman, and Fox wasn't sitting in the background, he was front line. One of the most infamous moments went down at Harlem's Apollo Theater, and Fox was right there in the chaos, locked in one of hip-hop's deadliest battles. At the height of the beef, Mazaradi Fox did something that stamped his name in street legend forever. He straight up pulled a gun on Jimmy Henchman inside the legendary Apollo Theater. Tony Yayo, who was standing right there, later revealed how it all went down. Henchman's crew had just cleared security and were making their way toward the bar when Fox suddenly made his move. He whipped out the strap, turned to Yayo, and said he was locked in. All he needed was the word to light up Henchman's entire crew right there in the middle of the venue. Think about that for a second. Pulling a gun on one of the most powerful execs in the game, in front of a packed house full of witnesses, cameras, and industry faces. Fox didn't flinch, didn't think about the consequences. He was ready to take it there. The only reason it didn't turn into a massacre was because Henchman's crew decided to walk away that night, dodging what could have been one of the deadliest moments in hip-hop history. But just days later, the streets answered back. Tony Yayo's Bentley got lit up with bullets, a crystal clear message from Henchman's camp that Fox's move wasn't going unanswered. And Fox wasn't just stirring up chaos, he was also protecting his own. Take Hot Rod, for example. While shooting a video in Brooklyn during the war, Fox got word things weren't safe.
What you doing? You know, he always on 100, right? I'm like, nah. I'm like, yo, I'm shooting this video. Nah, I'm tripping. You tripping. Hey, you in Jimmy Henchman's hood. And I remember this pulled up like as it was a caravan. I forget how many cars it was. In my mind, there was 1,000 cars. But, you know, how many ever cars it was. I remember he
made
pulled
the call,
up.
then rolled up with his people deep. Convoys flooding the block, shutting it down like something straight out of an action movie. Within moments, Fox had Hot Rod scooped up and out of danger before the enemy could even make a move. Fox was never the type to bite his tongue. If he had an issue with you, trust me, you were gonna hear it loud and clear. Whether it was in an interview, on wax, or face-to-face in the middle of the street, Fox never held back. When 50 Cent was going at Rick Ross, Fox jumped right in the fire, throwing disses at Ross and even aiming shots at fellow Queens rapper Young Dice without a second thought.
Hey, Rick Ross is still in my life. He's a cop. You love the cop, he's a fool. Only fan Rick Ross right now is supposed to have is cops, man.
Then came the beef with Domination. Things got so tense that when they agreed to meet up and settle it, both sides pulled up strapped and ready for war if the peace talks went sideways. And Fox didn't stop there. He even clashed with Lord Tariq, trading diss tracks like it was nothing, showing he wasn't ducking smoke from anybody. If something needed to be said, Fox said it, no matter who got burned in the process. But one of his wildest moves wasn't even about rap beef, it was about business. There was a $1 million deal on the table, lined up by 50 Cent and Prodigy, from Mobb Deep through a major global distributor, but Fox, he wasn't built for waiting around. Frustrated with all the delays, he stormed the company's building nearly 100 men deep. Imagine the block flooded with bodies. Fox at the front yelling about not getting his money. The scene got so chaotic the cops had to be called, charges got pressed. And just like that, the $1 million opportunity vanished into thin air. Not every wild story about Mazaradi Fox was tied to beef or business moves. Some were just straight up chaos. At 50 Cent's mansion, Fox was known for hopping on dirt bikes with the crew, but one wild crash left him with a busted foot that slowed him down heavy. Still, even injured, his name carried weight because Fox's life wasn't about pretending. His story came with a real criminal record that most rappers only dream up in lyrics. His rap sheet wasn't just some paperwork, it was a history full of violence, leadership, and street showdowns that became legend in Queens. To really understand it, you gotta rewind to July 7th, 1998, in Jamaica, Queens, right outside Baisley Park. That night turned into one of the darkest chapters in his story. It started with a simple cab ride. Lloyd, a local driver who had given Fox lifts before, picked him up along with 3 others. Fox slid into the front seat while his crew piled in the back. At first, nothing seemed off, just another night in Queens. But things shifted when Fox started making a couple of stops. First, at 169, then on Guy Brewer Boulevard. These weren't random detours. Fox was handling business. At one stop, he confronted a group of men and the argument blew up fast. When Fox jumped back in the cab, he was heated, snapping at his people. They violated me, pop that dude, kill everybody. In that instant, Leon and Andy jumped out strapped and the block turned into a war zone. Gunshots cracking through the night as the terrified driver ducked low behind the wheel. Moments later, the shooters piled back inside, pressing a pistol to Lloyd's head, forcing him to speed through red lights like it was a high-speed getaway scene. But the fallout was devastating. A 21-year-old named Curtis Scott, who was simply walking down a hill that night, caught a stray bullet to the head. His life was gone in seconds, a brutal reminder of how Fox's world could drag innocent lives into the line of fire. Curtis Scott dropped instantly, gone before he even hit the ground. Another man, 23-year-old Jamal Etheridge, took a slug to the chest and barely clung to life. Curtis's brother Jamal Scott came running after hearing the shots, only to be hit with a nightmare that never left him. He found his brother's body lying there lifeless, blood on the pavement, a sight that scarred him forever. In court, Jamal testified that Fox gave the chilling order to one of his men, "Get Mel." That night shattered families, ripping holes in lives that could never be repaired. But when it came time for justice, the courts painted a different picture. Despite the testimonies and the chaos, Fox never got convicted of murder. Instead, in 2001, he only caught a weapons charge linked to the case and ended up serving 4 years behind bars. To outsiders, it looked like Fox had slipped through the cracks of justice, but the shadow of that bloody night in Queens followed him everywhere he went. Prison was never just downtime for Mazaradi Fox. It was his training ground. Every stretch inside sharpened him, made him colder, and plugged him even deeper into the underworld. During his 2003 to 2004 federal bid, Fox ended up sharing a cell with Peter Pistol Rolak, the notorious leader of S-Money Murder, one of the Blood's most feared and violent sets. Behind those walls, Pete opened up about betrayal in his camp and cracks in his empire, and Fox listened closely, soaking it all up like a blueprint. By the time he touched freedom again, Fox wasn't just G-Unit muscle anymore. He was officially connected to S-Money Murder, a crew with blood on its name and heavy ties to drugs, money, and power. But Fox's deadliest legend didn't come from his affiliations, it came from the fact that he just wouldn't die. Tony Yayo once said, people called him a fox, not only because he was slick, but because he escaped death more times than anyone could count. One man tried to drop him over $10,000, unloading bullets into him as he bled out. Instead of folding, Fox wrestled the gun away mid-shooting, turning the scene into something straight out of a gangster movie. He claimed he once survived 12 bullets in a single hit, and another time, in 2005, he walked away from an ambush at a dice game. To his enemies, it felt like Fox couldn't be killed. Like no matter how many times they tried, he always found a way to slip death's grip. Scarred but still breathing, Fox's survival only added to his legend. But that same violent lifestyle carried a brutal cost, and the people around him paid the price. In 2010, his close friend Gregory G. Baby Brown was shot down in Queens after headlining a Fabulous concert. 3 bullets tore into his back, and the scandal only got bigger when whispers spread that club bouncers moved his body just so Fab's crew could slide out clean without being touched. To this day, the murder remains unsolved, leaving a cloud of mystery and betrayal over the streets. Then, in 2013, while Fox was sitting behind bars on an assault case, tragedy struck even closer to home. His 14-year-old stepdaughter, Daja Robinson, was riding a city bus back from a Sweet 16 when a stray bullet ripped through the windows, taking her life instantly. An innocent teenager caught in the crossfire of a gang feud. Her death shattered Fox in a way prison never could. Even 50 Cent stepped in, paying for her funeral and saying, "I came through for baby girl. She was innocent and didn't deserve to die like that." The streets were left in shock. Fox's world wasn't just dangerous for him, it was dangerous for everyone tied to him. That same year, Fox tried to pour all his pain into something different, art. He started writing a street novel called The Game Don't Change, a raw look into Queens hustling and the drug game. For once, the world saw a side of Fox beyond the violence, like maybe he was searching for redemption. On December 20th, 2013, he finally walked out of prison after serving 2 years on an assault case. Back in Queens, staying with his girlfriend, Fox sounded hungry for change in a jailhouse interview before release. His words were clear: "I'm ready to get the money and get the business." But the streets had no intention of letting him escape their grip. Just 2 weeks later, January 3rd, 2014, it all came crashing down. Around 4 p.m., Fox was in a Nissan SUV with 3 others when a masked gunman dressed head to toe in black pulled up at Farmers Boulevard. In 133rd, in seconds, the car was ripped apart by bullets. Fox was hit fatally in the chest. He stumbled out, collapsing into the snow, taking his last breath right there on the cold sidewalk.
An armed assassin wearing a black ski mask suddenly pulled up and then riddled a white SUV with numerous bullets as it waited at a stop sign. Detectives say the intended target, Jamal Green, a.k.a. Mazaradi, once part of the Group G unit, was fatally shot once in the torso. He staggered out of the car and then fell dead in a nearby driveway.
The rest of the crew got lit up too. One man critically wounded, another shot, and a woman grazed. It was pure carnage in broad daylight. Detectives later tied the ambush back to the ghost of 1998, the murder of Curtis Scott. Weeks later, they arrested Curtis's brother, Jamal Scott, charging him with murder and attempted murder. But in 2016, the case crumbled when their key witness, Raya Brockington, recanted, saying cops threatened her into talking. She was indicted for perjury, and Jamal Scott walked free. Mazaradi Fox's killing remains unsolved to this day. Another Queens tragedy where the streets know who did it, but the law couldn't prove a thing. If you found this story wild, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And I'll catch you on the next one.